What follows is kind of an interview and recap of our sessions on Tatooine, brought to you by 2 of the 5 characters that play in it, or 2 of the 5 players, I guess, that play in it. And in some respects, they represent the pacifist side of the group. So we'll do another recap, if possible, with the more aggressive side of the group. Now, we recorded this in a room which gave us some echo problems, it turns out, afterward. So the clip is clear enough if you're using headphones, but you may find the volume a little low if you're not. Sorry about that. It's been a long time since we've done a recap for the Edge of the Empire campaign. The people that you are looking at are 2 of the cast. We'll start here and ask you to tell us what character you're playing. I
play Captain Paul Highland, a scoundrel and captain of the Archon, which is the ship that our crew uses.
And I play Moss, which is a Bothan scout, and I am not a spy.
That's right, and I keep reinforcing that he's not a secret agent. All right, so the last recap we left off with the group having decided to become basically triple agents, to possibly betray an old employer and to sell her out to Jabba, but maybe not be entirely forthcoming with Jabba also. What happened after that?
I'll let you know that web much better.
And what a tangled web it is. Was sent by Jabba to shut down our former associate's business, but while wandering through the marketplace trying to make contact with that person, ambushed by some rough-looking Trandoshans, so with a silver tongue immediately said, no, we're all good, we're here to do business with you and I together can take down Jabba. She said, all right, let's do this. And then I immediately went to Jabba and told him I did that. And he said, I want you to go back there and do a job for them, but you're really doing it for me. So it was pretty good, because up until that point on Tatooine, there was a lot of happenings, but no real work. And we were just sort of kind of stuck with no direction, and then it was this influx of jobs, and we had to pick which one was the smartest one for our crew, which one would get us in the least danger with the greatest reward.
It seemed that jobs just kind of kept happening to us. Not so much jobs, or just kind of things happening in things.
Yeah,
so
Tatooine's a dangerous place. Every corner there's something happening.
Because we also met, of course, Rim Valiant, who turned out to be quite a colorful character in a way, and he actually had a base out in the desert, and probably had the most epic speeder chase involving a crate dragon, myself, and one of the other characters, the
mercenary bodyguard.
Yeah, the mercenary bodyguard, the hired gun mercenary bodyguard, semi kind of Jedi. We kind of thought we could do some damage to it, and soon realized that we couldn't. And so a chase ensued, and I drove into a currently ongoing speeder race, which just became just a complete kind of crash course of things.
Not to mention lunch for the crate dragon.
And definitely lunch for the crate dragon. Thankfully, not us being lunch, which was quite good.
You are responsible for the death of numerous
I
racers.
I did not look back. I just kept driving.
Probably caught them very much off guard with that one.
Now, you raise a really good point about there being so many jobs, all blowing by, coming up. At what point did you guys decide to become proactive and start making your way through all this mess?
I think with the Lynn, that Lynn was our past employer, and she has something information about us that we think that she shouldn't have, and so I think it comes to a point of tying up loose ends.
You're talking about the plans.
We're talking about the possible Death Star plans that she wanted, that she got, but we have a copy of it. So
and we really don't want that one getting out.
So we don't know if she thinks that, and our droid slicer, she's always very interested in it, and so we're not sure if it's because it wants to get the memory from it. And so that's kind of why we chose to double cross. I think with Jabba, we just didn't really want to cross Jabba's path.
I was never going to double cross Jabba. One, that's a terrible enemy to have, and two, I kind of secretly, Jabba loved me.
Yes.
And I kind of secretly beat, all the best smugglers and scoundrels make a name for themselves with Jabba. You got Han Solo and all the others. So I sort of dug that Jabba thought of me as his boy, and I really didn't want to do anything to piss him off, because we see what happens when you piss him off.
I think he's a powerful ally to have on your good side, be on his good side. As we've seen, of course, in the movies. But it's also just something you figure in the Outer Rim that most people would kind of not want to cross.
And it got a little dangerous. I was sweating because after we had done the job for him, we actually did betray Lynn. She doesn't know that. But then Job was like, hey, I want you to work for me full time. I want you to move this spice. We didn't really want to be drug runners. Hey, we got some slaves we can move. And I like working for Jabba, but not being owned by Jabba. So I had talking and being like, hey, yeah, I'm your guy, but just I gotta go do these things first. A very lucky, what I'm gonna call charm roll, got us out of pissing him off.
And I think with Jabba too, there was the Bothan that we betrayed to Jabba as well. That we kind of kept thinking we gotta keep on his good side. So
That's right, because you wound up in the middle of two competing information networks.
Yeah. So my Scout being part of my backstory, whether I'm a spy or not a spy.
Definitely not a spy.
Definitely not a spy. But basically competing between two Bothan networks, and just ended up choosing one that I kind of trusted, that I kind of maybe more that I met first. And so it was also the one Bothan tried to steal our droid slicer, and so and that of course gets our hired guns all up in their fur up, as it were.
It was good because he and I had been collecting information and gathering jobs in our two more combat focused players were getting a little itchy, and so when a droid manufacturer steals our droids, that we can unleash them. Yes.
And
speaking of which,
this here is our large droid, HK.
So, statement, yes.
With the arrangement to do a job for Lynn, without alienating Jabba, to prove to him that you're his boy, to outclass Rin Valiant and any other competition there might be, you ended up having to go to Geonosis.
Correct.
Now, we had said earlier in the campaign we weren't going to go to any named locations like Tatooine or Geonosis, and here we were spending oh, that's right, the prequels don't exist, right? So anyway, let me know what you think about that whole leg of the adventure.
I liked it because we had been landlocked for quite a while, and I don't know how much I'm supposed to reveal, but I have a past obligation that's directly connected to the Imperials, and there was a very big Imperial presence growing on Tatooine, and so that made my story more interested. And we hadn't done too much space stuff, and I thought it was exciting to try to outrun, an Imperial blockade, Star Destroyers, all the greats have done it. So I thought that was very, very interesting, was getting a chance to escape Star Destroyers.
That wasn't the big escape that we had to make, because that was just in our... borrowed a freighter.
Yeah, it wasn't our exact ship. We were using somebody else's ship, but it was a little it was a little trailer for a bigger blockade.
It was also one of those things that the faster we did it, the better it would be, and it was actually I think we had a really good astrogation roll, so we were able to get there quick. Sadly, after that, rolls failed, and being the not spy, stealth is not always my specialty. Following the Trandoshan making a drop and basically trying to stealthily of course, not
Right.
failing.
That was your first.
And having to basically run away through these basically tube-like shapes, only for him to jump from above. Because the way it was described was basically Geonosis was insect type
Kind of like an
planet.
ant colony with
Ant
many
colony,
different
many
paths.
Or honeycomb,
and stuff.
yeah.
And
You look
So-
behind you and you're like, I lost it.
and then
you
climbs, run up in front.
And that was your real what? That was probably the first time you've ever actually taken damage in combat.
Well, and I took serious damage. I'm not meant to take damage.
That was like brush with death territory.
That was pretty close, and luckily companions made good rolls to find me in time to eliminate the threats, and I'll save that for a different recap. But we managed to escape, get some cool information. Of course, kind of casually walk away from a death scene, and
Yeah, the local police were looking for us, and we just kind of.
just blend back into the crowd. That was entertaining.
It was pretty good.
That was where your particular occupations and specializations really began to manifest. I mean, you literally were just able to schmooze your way through customs and...
Especially yours.
I think I had several sessions with very embarrassing charm rolls, and I fancy myself the face of the group, and I'm like, I can get us any job, wheel and deal, hit on the ladies, and I had a long stretch where I failed everything embarrassingly, but I think that session and the session before it, for some reason I was rolling triumphs on all my charms, so I could just talk my way out of any situation. Our combatants, once again, provided a bit of a distraction, I would say, with there was some new fancy pants, boasting smuggler, lace something or other, I don't remember.
Oh,
they all
get that job.
Yeah, and our boys out there caused some sort of bar scene, and that allowed us to.
So which basically switched the obligation of our contact to switch from our old employer Lynn to basically to Jabba. So with that done, it was just trying to again not so much outrun a blockade, but kind of leave the system again without any helps, and having a slicer droid that can get into most computer systems kept changing our code or basically figuring out if the cops were onto us and stuff. So managed to get. I think we got away no problems.
We got away no problems, and we got back into.
Oh yeah, that's actually
because they changed the designate on our ship.
And that was actually again another good attribution. So we got there back extremely quickly. So there was no problems except
Fear.
except when we came back to look at our ship, there was a squad of stormtroopers.
Oh yeah, that
our
was
ship.
They're
They're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, they were camping out by our ship. We had made enough waves. So we learned that Lynn was actually captured, so we didn't have to betray her, which was good, because technically then that's still an ally as far as she's concerned.
My Bothan contact had been captured, and so...
And tortured. That was one of my favorite sequences, actually, is we had to break in there into his workshop, and what I can assume was Imperial intelligence officers there, and they were looking for us. We were able to stun one of them and take him, and then your Bothan friend did one of the coolest things. We basically ran us through these back alleys, through buildings, into these safe houses, and the way it was described is like he would put on a hood and he'd go into one building and flip it around so it'd be like a different outfit, and then put it on and then go outside and it'd be off and in the garbage. He changed outfits as often as he changed rooms, and we got to this safe house, and it was...
which then you guys said, why can't I do that?
Yeah, we basically said, wow, he's better than you, he should be our...
Not a spy.
Not a spy.
Not a spy. And I keep saying I'm not a spy.
But I thought that was a pretty good sequence, and I think the fact that it was Imperial intelligence gave us... we got a lot of information, which kind of cleared a path.
And it also kind of opened up the question is, who do they actually want? Do they want you? Do they want the slicer droid because of the plans? Do they want me? Or do they want the other hired gun? Actually, the only person I don't think they want is the bounty hunter.
See, here's the thing, is our bounty hunter He doesn't. He keeps saying he doesn't want to cross the Imperials because then he'll lose his license and he won't have free reign. But he's probably gunned down at least like 20, 30 Imperials. Like I'm surprised that
He's listening right now. That's why.
He's listening with a big smile on his face. He's like, "No, I don't want to be here for this because I don't want to lose my license." And then he'll shoot a whole squadron with a mounted tripod gun.
I think that whole scene also led us to the point that we just really needed to get off Tatooine. All of us were like, we don't want to be here anymore. We really don't want to come back.
Definitely a high pressure environment.
That was the real blockade, right?
Yeah, and then that's what we had to get our ship.
failed.
Oh wait, Jabba gave you some nice guns.
Jabba gave me some nice guns, which our Jedi-to-be wants to tear apart because within the hilts are crate dragon pearls.
We think.
Upon examination, I
It
think,
feels that way.
It feels like there's a pearl in there, and he wants it, even though he has no idea how to build the hilt of a lightsaber. But he's, I want the pearl.
So I think where we left Tatooine is we actually managed to escape the
blockade,
but a lousy astrogation check. Though we left our ship basically in an asteroid field,
which I loved, because then I could just steal every Han Solo line. You guys weren't even saying they'd be crazy to follow us. Nobody's following us.
But that was the final of that session.
Yeah, that was actually a good way to end it. Was we do all this? There was a big climax with the big scene.
Two like similar to Star Wars, the two Star Destroyers cutting across. And actually, though, there was a third one off in the distance, one of the Interdictors.
Interdictor.
Yeah, and then we rocket out of there, which would be a nice ending, and come out of hyperspace.
In a new cliffhanger.
Field, and it's like, see you next week, basically.
Right. So there's one thing I want to get at before we wrap up this clip, which is getting lengthy.
You can edit it.
The job that you have completed for Jabba, hooking him up with eliminating Lin as the middleman. All right. Now this could definitely be classified as morally gray, as you're helping Jabba become like basically a weapons manufacturer, so he could supply both sides, either the Imperials or anybody else, with weapons that maybe we don't want to see out there.
Right.
So how do you feel as being a part of that?
I think my character perhaps doesn't sometimes think about those kinds of things. Like, I think sometimes it still goes back to that mercenary, not so much mercenary, I was a scout just going from job to job, and I think that's kind of how sometimes my character thinks about it, is that I got paid, I kind of did what I didn't die on, and it's kind of the better money, and so I don't sometimes think of the other consequences, and I think that sometimes the reckless side of perhaps.
I would say it fits into my character kind of perfectly. I follow the typical scoundrel archetype, like Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly or Peter Quill from Guardians of the Galaxy, where I will walk that line. The ultimate goal for me is freedom and means to keep the ship flying, keep the crew alive. I will do more illegal jobs. I think I do have a limit. I don't think I'll murder innocents. I wouldn't want to run slaves for Jabba, but when it comes to stealing something, I'll get in bed with the villain if it means that I'm still free in space. And I haven't quite hit the threshold that I won't cross yet, but I'll tiptoe to it.
It's also one of those things where I think as a character you feel like, well, I mean, he has those. They're not going to be used against us more than likely. And we're kind of the too big under the radar kind of thing that you're like. I mean, you kind of forget that
and you can be caught off guard by how quickly it escalates.
Right.
We're the good guys, and then we commit one crime, and we're like, well, now we're kind of in this pickle, so another crime to get out of it, and another crime. It's like how lying causes you to have to lie more. Sometimes you get kind of caught in a downward spiral. The only question is, and I doubt with our emerging Jedi, will we stop before we go to the wrong side?
Well, I think he's the only one that has to worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
With us, like, you kind of have that kind of, we're the good guys in a very morally gray world.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're not doing anything really evil other than making money, but
Interesting.
So
Considering how we're surviving in a world where the central government is a dictatorship that, will kill
Emperor
to keep
Palpatine
out,
is bringing peace and order to a
destroying
disordered galaxy.
Anybody who is against him. So, I mean, yeah, like
Well,
you
it's
said,
also
it's a very bad world with a lot of bad people.
there's just not a lot of laws out here because the Empire's kind of there, but they're not really. But
Right.
You kind of.
The frontier.
The way I foresee it is you try and keep contacts. If you stay on certain people's good sides, you're fine. And as long as you're not working for direct enemies, then you're kind of okay. I mean,
If you are
working for Java, if we're working for Java right now is kind of the okay, even though
For now,
part of me is like, I don't really want to work for Java.
We didn't really do anything for him that I don't think we would have done
No.
on our own. And we did cross the line because I do think he wanted us to run spice and we had to talk our ways out of it because we're like, we don't want to push drugs, even though that's very lucrative and I'd get a chance to do the Kessel run.
Don't do drugs.
I don't do drugs. But I think we'll do what we have to do to survive, and that sometimes includes breaking the law a little bit.
All right,
Makes it
then.
more interesting.
Thank you, gentlemen.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Thanks.